Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back with another recording of Hearthstone. Today is Wednesday, February 14th, Valentine's Day, and we're on the Asian account and we need to play mage cards. So come over here and play this custom mage. I believe that's what we need to do. Good, play on casual. I suppose there's really no reason not to play on ranked. I severely doubt I will play Hearthstone for 10 years from now, which it would probably take me to get everything, each of the 3 accounts up to ranked 500 wins. I doubt that will happen. I'm not even 100% sure I'll be playing Hearthstone a year from now. But we can only go forward on best methods, and if I only need to play cards, playing ranked makes sense. I might get some free victories. It might bump me up to rank 21, which slowly, that with the new ranking system, that actually might help. It'd be kind of crazy. We already talked about this one. This news article isn't really a news article as much as it is just an advertisement for a new PC from a different source than I usually follow. PC Perspective has a review or showing off for the Airtop 2 Inferno, which is a compact fanless gaming PC featuring a Core i7-7700 and a GTX 1080. So it's, as far as PCs go, quite an anomaly. And we're in a weird position right now trying to build your own PCs. Almost certainly this is going to be really expensive too. It's coming out February 24th. And it's being kickstarted. And we'll see if they even say a price. Here. But it is a very nice looking idea. They've taken what I assume is a mini ITX motherboard, which are small motherboards that still, for the most part, use the same components of a regular ATX PC that you would build with. The major difference is ITXs take up less space, so they're typically more expensive, and they usually only have one slot for a PCI Express card, so you're not going to do multiple video cards. I think also they probably work slightly different as far as your power input. Instead of using putting a block CPU power supply unit PSU into the case with the computer, you instead have a 24 volt, maybe even 48 volt, maybe even higher, like maybe 96 volt power supply that goes from that input to a DC power jack connector, a DC barrel jack that plugs into the computer. Which again, when you have less wattage that you're putting into the computer in a mini ITX, you also have less ability to have things like multiple cards in it, multiple audio cards, multiple video cards. Let's just go ahead and kill this. So fun. And this one. And attack. In return. It also has up to 64 gigabytes of DDR4 2400 and 2 NVMe slots and 4 2.5 SSD hard drive slots and 2 USB 3.1 and 7 USB 3.0 and dual LAN front and back and audio. It looks like something kind of designed to be moved around. I want to look at this picture and see if I can get a bigger resolution of this picture, because I want to see every single little thing. Yeah, I imagine this is going to be a explosive trap. Hey, it wasn't. The CompuLab in front of the front has a B, R, and an H and D, and a reset and dual monitor. I have no idea what those buttons mean or whether those are lights. It has a super speed, USB, 3.0, 2 on the front, and then one 3.1 on the front, which has the USB-C reversible connector, and then audio and microphone in the front. On the back it has a HDMI output, a DisplayPort 1, DisplayPort 2. It has a power input, not using the barrel jacks actually. It's using something that looks like the connector that you'd plug a old PC into, keyboard and mouse, but those won't work. Oh yes, also the video cards ports are included, so on top of the video there's display link, I think 2 display links with the 1080 and HDMI, maybe a third display link. It's hard to tell some of the times. On the back you have 3.0 blue connectors. The 2 LANs are on the back. There's also 4 antenna connectors for some kind of Wi-Fi. There's a SPDIF audio output on the back, a headphone, and a microphone on the back, and then a lock so that somebody doesn't walk off with this tiny PC. Both inputs are... oh, it's 2 inputs on the power at 9 volt DC. And one's a backup and one's a main. That's pretty crazy. Let's see, let's go back now and see if there was any indication on what the price of this thing is. Being fanless, it would be very quiet, but it would also run pretty hot. That's why the case has a lot of things that you could only describe as radiator fins all around it. I'm gonna go ahead and take the victory if I can. There's an exploded view. It has a Unigine Heaven benchmark 4.0 of 110.6 frames per second with a score of 2,785, which might be a little low, but I'm not 100% sure. Pricing and availability, well, you probably have to wait till the 24th. Now, I usually don't promote PCs, and I'm certainly not being sponsored by this PC, but when you compare something like this to a console, it's probably a million times better than what you get with an Xbox One or PS4. It's probably slightly better than what you would get with an Xbox One X and a PS4 Plus, PS4 Pro. Maybe not. But then you also have to go into the world of dealing with your own PC, dealing with Windows updates, any issues that you run into. There's no real support there. And if you just want it to work, there's still a lot of reason to buy an Xbox One X or PS4 Pro. I'm not sure there's much reason to buy the original other than saving money. I did just realize, and it's kind of been just washing over me and I haven't even thought about it. I have a considerable amount of Xbox 360 games, and a decent collection of those now are backwards compatible. So as the years are going on, I could maintain or improve the value of my old Xbox 360 games by simply buying an Xbox One and then sticking those discs in the Xbox One and downloading the backwards compatible versions.
Job's done.
And it's probably something I should do eventually. But also, we're not 100% certain that an Xbox 2 or whatever the next game is won't still have that same level of backwards compatibility, and it might be better just to wait. Moving on to the next story, a U.S. senator has called on the ESRB to take action on loot boxes and has suggested that the FTC could get involved. FTC commissioner and nominees agreed that further investigation is warranted if the ESRB doesn't act. This letter was sent to the ESRB president Patricia Vance by the Senator Maggie Hassan. I also believe that I believe it was Hawaii is looking into making it illegal to sell loot boxes to people under 21, which means that there is a good chance several other states would pass similar laws, and this might very quickly get fixed. And it is nice in the United States to occasionally see the government actually accomplish anything, whether you agree with what they're doing or not. Just if you can get some bipartisan support and get something done, that would be nice. Of course, they haven't gotten anything done yet, so it's important. Personally, if it's just going to be legislation against loot boxes, like, I wouldn't be super opposed to that. Of course, it might be the perfect excuse for all video game companies to raise the prices on games and blame the government. It would be a perfect excuse for big corporations that run video game companies to try to turn the next generation of potential voters against the government, against people that voted to actually protect that same next generation of potential voters. There's a lot of ifs and potentials there.
The scourge will devour all.
But something I think specifically has to be done, and fear of what might happen should never outweigh the need to do something now, in my opinion. TechSpot, a article company that I don't follow, maybe I'll start following. You know what? Just click that follow button. There we go. Follow. We'll follow TechSpot for a while. It seems like they're advertising Kotaku. So is TechSpot one of the Kotaku companies? Did I just sign myself up for some misery following Kotaku companies? They have an article, how to get your significant other in the gaming. I'm not going to read this article because nobody needs to read this article. There's two things that you need to know in any relationship. One, you are separate people. You're never going to merge together to be this magical one person. You're going to have different likes and dislikes. There is a certain level in which you're going to have to tolerate the quirks, likes, and dislikes of your significant other, and they are going to have to do the same with you. One would hope that you didn't marry somebody who was so infuriated with your gaming habit that she tells you, now that we're married, you can't play games anymore, or I'm gonna divorce you. The right response there is clearly, fine, divorce me. In fact, I'm gonna divorce you first for giving me this ultimatum and not communicating with me before we entered together in marriage. The other thing is, like, you don't need nor particularly even want your significant other to play games with you if they weren't doing it already. Ideally, in a relationship, people would want to spend time with you and do the things you like. At least try it. If your significant other has never tried playing games with you, even though they know you're big into playing games, and could be board games or video games or anything, and that they just kind of always walk out of the room when you're playing games, well, then they're not really engaged with you at all. They're not really accepting all of you, and I don't think that's good grounds for a relationship to start with. So they need to kind of by default want to do it. If you've hit the point where I've got to get them into gaming, you've already failed. Like, this relationship is over at that point. I should hit this guy. Wow. Totally screwing up. So, can you get people into gaming? Certainly. You can invite them to play. You can try to include them. You can say, hey, this is happening. You can express how much fun you have with it. You can explain the crazy stories that often are happening in video games, certainly. But generally, the people you would want to get into gaming are, you would have maybe an hour or two conversation about gaming, or much better, you would have them in the same room as a game and say, hey, do you want to play this with me? I'll teach you how to play, I'll be nice. You don't want to bring them in the game where it's like a first-person shooter 1 versus 1 and you're just going to cause them to lose. You'd want to co-op, you'd want to try and build them up and support them and help them. Getting somebody into something like Hearthstone or mobile phone gaming, something turn-based, something not super actiony. It is possible if you're this late in 2018 trying to get somebody into gaming, they're either very, very young or in a very unique situation where they haven't played games before. So there's kind of some stuff to learn about how to hold a controller, what buttons to press what. So you need something that's slow and kind of paced out. PC gaming, same way. It's probably a little bit easier if you're to get somebody into a point and click than to get them, or Hearthstone, than it is to try and get them into Call of Duty or Team Fortress or something like that. But really, that's kind of the stuff you would really want to do on the first date. Like I imagine if you're dating somebody, say you meet up in the restaurant and you're like, so what do? You say, well, I play a lot of games. Or usually when they say what you're doing, they mean what is your job. But so what do you do for fun? And you would say, I play a lot of games. And then you'd kind of have that spiel already done. And at that point, if the other person is rolling their eyes and has no interest, well, no interest is alright. active disdain is a deal breaker, particularly if you define yourself as a major gamer, if that's a big part of your life. I imagine there might be a few people out there that could just give up video games for the rest of their life and not care. For them, I guess they'd be alright, but I don't think you should have to give up anything to maintain a relationship, nor should you have to be forced into anything. A lot of this just also boils down into communication. Let's see. Tragic Master. It came on. You never want to teach them about everything about the game either. Always keep the upper hand to seem more elite, smiley face. Like, I think what you do is you have to play on the same side as your significant other, almost always, or you're gonna cause some trouble in your life. If they want to get better than you, if they start playing more hours of a game than you are, if they just have some natural innate ability to play games better than you, let them do it. Let them beat you. In the long run, it takes a lot of work to maintain a relationship, a lot more work than it does to maintain a video game hobby, particularly nowadays where you could just get free to play games and move on. And as I'm wrapping up this kind of rant, I would also say don't look down on your significant other's gaming choices. They may love to just play Candy Crush on their phone, and that might be their level of gaming. And just try to be inclusive, don't be a gatekeeper. Like, if you play Candy Crush, you're a gamer. You may not be a hardcore gamer by anybody's definition, but you're a gamer. And that's good enough for them to understand why you enjoy playing games, and not just have an active hate for the fact that you are playing games, and have them see your gaming hobby as something that is in between you and your significant other. I've had people who that I've talked to that don't understand video games at all. Like, they don't seem to even understand the concept of entertainment, and that they literally said games are a complete and utter waste of time. And I'm like, alright, so you've never played a game, you've never played a board game, you've never done anything, you've never enjoyed any of it. Like, that's the type of person that you probably don't want in your life at all if you're trying to as a significant other. Anybody else is pretty fine. So, in a weird way, if I can go a little blue here, which I occasionally do, the gaming hobby argument and how to deal with that is the exact same argument as the pornography hobby habit conversation. And this usually breaks down more on gender lines, where females, speaking very generally, just don't get as randy as often as guys do. So women can very possibly go 2-3 months and not even think about sex, where most guys with their testosterone flowing through them are thinking about sex. I'm not going to say the old cliche that's wrong every 3 seconds, but they are probably thinking about it 3 to 5 times a day in small instances. And there was a terrible movie that came out, and some real terrible scenarios that actually do happen, where girlfriends overreact to the fact that guys look at porno, that they feel, the girlfriends feel like they're being insulted and that they aren't enough because a guy might want variety or is simply taking care of his own needs without her around. So often what will happen is the girlfriend will convince the guy to go to these religious-based counselors that have no accreditation, and they get diagnosed with being sex addicts, which you literally impossibly cannot be diagnosed as a sex addict, because addiction is when you add some chemical to the brain that isn't naturally there. The testosterone, dopamine, all the chemicals that are released in the brain when you're feeling randy, here, I'm trying to censor myself a little bit, are all natural chemicals. Sex is the most natural thing in the world. You cannot become addicted to it. Now, you can become obsessive about anything, and certainly obsessions can be defined, but no real psychologist is going to say you're addicted to sex. They're going to say you have obsessive compulsive disorder, or some other form of obsessive disorder in which you're taking actions that you actively know are bad for you. You're showing up late for work. You're missing birthday parties because you're looking at porn. But that's not usually the case. Usually it's just a prudish girlfriend that wants their significant other to not be into porn. And frankly, it's just not going to happen. When you take the same concept to the porn idea, very rarely do you get males that even want to share the porn that they actively enjoy with their girlfriends. And you should look at it at that point, and it's like, I think it's been very romanticized, the concept that you want to and feel some kind of need to share your gaming hobby with a significant other. It's okay for it just to be your thing. And yeah, I think that pretty much covers everything that I want to say on that. That was my Valentine's Day conversation. We have a new guy on the chat. I have no idea how you would pronounce his name. Sujikur K says hi, smiley face. Hi. Sorry about mispronouncing your name. It's like just like the things you like. And ideally, it's nice in relationships when people have different hobbies and different things they like, because that means you have something to talk about over the dinner. Like, if you spend all day playing World of Warcraft with your girlfriend, when you take a break and stop playing World of Warcraft and go out and eat dinner with her, you've got nothing to talk about what you did that day, because she was there, she was playing with you. And sometimes that works, but variety is the spice of life, and being well-rounded, varied people in general, and having two well-rounded, varied people together makes a lot of sense. It works better in the real one. Yeah. He says, the new guy says, Kirk Rat equals rat. I'm from Poland, smiley face. So, Polish rat. I want to make a joke that here, and I don't know if I would get the internal politics of Europe right, but I want to throw this out here and let me know if this is funny to a Polish person. If I say I thought that PewDiePie meant rat in Polish, is that a funny joke, or do the Polish people have no real animosity towards the Swedish? I'm testing my stand-up comedy. Moving on with the video game news. So, one of the games I talked about in the last stream where the audio was off, that really caught my eye, is this game from NIS America. They apparently had a press event and released about three trailers for 3 games. But this one particularly is interesting looking. There's a game called Assault Spy, which looks kind of low detail in its animation, but ignoring that, it looks like it is a Devil May Cry Bayonetta style action game where you're beating up and punching robot kiosk things. And getting SSS rankings for doing it. And the fast-paced action that's happening there as you're playing as one of 2 characters infiltrating this corporation, and there's laser people with laser guns that I assume you're going to have to avoid. It has a high-speed, key features are stylish spy action comedy, so it's going to be kind of comedic in its story. It has high-speed dash combat, it has dynamic action, and it has one story with 2 sides where you play as a spy or a CIA agent. And one is a anime guy in a suit with a briefcase and blue hair, and then the other girl kind of is tracer-ish in her look. Anime girl with pink hair though. Well, there's actually a yellow-haired character too, and then there's a masked character, so those might be some bosses I'm seeing. Remember, here on Hearthstone, all I need to do is play mage cards, so I don't have to pay much attention to it. And so, of many of the games I saw, the Assault Spy really caught my attention. Of course, there will be more news about it as it actually gets a release date and things like that, so it's not really something that needs to catch anybody else's attention, I'm sure. Not for the moment, at least.
I was right all along.
So there's a tech noir tactics game called All Walls Must Fall. It's gonna leave early access next month. The price has been lowered from $15 to $10. Looking at the screenshot of it, it doesn't look that interesting. Let's see, the PC Gamer has an article here saying it's a speedy hybrid turn-based firefights. So it kind of looks, it looks too much like XCOM, frankly, and with some poor animation on top of that. So All Walls Must Fall, probably not gonna catch my attention. If you like XCOM and have played too much XCOM and you want to play something that looks like it's a little bit different but not that different. It did have a successful Kickstarter, so that's saying something, I suppose, but not enough to really catch my attention. Gwent, the Witcher card game, which has been out for about, oh, I would say a year now, it feels like. They're adding draft-based arena modes. This is inherently the problem with anything trying to compete against Hearthstone, because Hearthstone just has the advantage. As long as Hearthstone doesn't shut down its servers or get rid of modes or just irritate people in some weird way. I can't see people leaving it in large enough masses. The thing that would convince people to leave Hearthstone is if there was an extremely good Yu-Gi-Oh card game or an extremely good Magic the card game. And Magic has some problems, certainly for new players, and Yu-Gi-Oh has some problems for new players that don't want to play anime looking games. That's one of the advantages. Gwent, on the other hand, as a card game, is going with a realistic art style, which is going to only hurt it in the long run. But that's not its main issue. Its main issue is definitely, I only have to play like 2 more cards. Is the gameplay you're actually doing is just too different. I enjoyed playing Gwent when playing Witcher 3. I thought it was a fun little side game, but never has it really occurred to me to install the standalone game and try and play any of that. And with the addition of the arena mode, I'm still not interested in that. I'm more interested in the Fable game, if anything. Seriously? I'll take that free victory, but I'm not happy about it. Needed to play cards. Still a ton of news. Sega's 5th Make War Not Love event lets you play a bunch of PC strategy games to win free games. So it's a little weird. You have to go to their website, you have to register, you have to link your Steam account to it, and then they're going to give you a couple of free games. And if a lot of people play the free games or something like that, it hits a certain trigger point where it will like you automatically get 2 free Sega Mega Drive titles added to your account, which isn't really much, really. Like but you do have to opt in for email marketing to sign up, and
The legions I command.
all the games that are featured are on sale on Steam right now. So it's really Sega just trying to have a website that combines with a Steam sale, which I mean, it's fair enough. The games that are available for sale are not ones that really catch my attention. Warhammer 2, Dawn of War, Company of Heroes are all the free to play during the event. Wait, or they aren't? Like, I don't even really understand it. And I was just on the website, and I don't even understand how this Make War Not Love thing is. The games that are being prompted are Endless Space 2, Warhammer 2, Dawn of War, and Company of Heroes, none of which I'm really interested. And they have these competitions where they want you to play some of those games, I guess, for a certain number of time. And if you do that, maybe you'll win a game for free. So if people bite the bullet and play games that they've already purchased from Sega, maybe Sega will give free copies of that game to people who didn't bite the bullet and purchase those games. That's the best I can figure out. Like, it's a little too convoluted a problem. Treasure Master came on and go, lol, 2 cards. Yeah, that's right. It's like 2 cards and I can move over to the European account. The Evil Within 2 has first-person mode now available, so if you've played, you've almost certainly, if you bought the Evil Within 2 when it first came out, you've almost certainly played that game all the way through, or given up on playing it. But I guess now you can play it the real way it was meant to be played, some might argue. Putting in a first-person mode makes some sense. That kind of worked with Resident Evil 7. I'm watching a trailer here. It brings the camera in. It makes it seem more like Doom for that. And every time I see a trailer for Evil Within 2, boy does it look like it is a much better game than Evil Within 1. Like I'm just assuming that it's 2 or 3 times better. It's a free update. Personally though, I'm not sure I actually would want to play first person because a lot of your, like the crossbow in particular, is taking up almost a quarter of your screen when you have that equipped. And as the enemies are running from side to side to attack you, you're gonna have a zoomed in camera, so you won't be able to see this. It's really one of those games where you'd probably be better off having the field of view slider turned as wide as humanly possible so you can see more enemies. Of course, you probably could hear the enemies coming anyways. Newegg is offering partial refunds after they overcharged some AMD Ryzen purchasers. The Ryzen 3 2200G and the Ryzen 5 2400G, I believe. Let's see. They were supposed to have a suggested retail of $100 and $170. However, Newegg accidentally overcharged and then refunded it. I like to purchase things at Newegg just so Amazon.com doesn't become the single monopoly of the internet purchasing place. But to purchase things at Newegg, computer parts particularly, it is kind of some BS you have to put up with it. The website is actually better for buying computer parts in my opinion. It's easier to shop around and know you're getting parts that will probably work together well. But their refund policy I don't think is that great. They have a horrible rebate scams where, like, I've filled out probably 5 different rebates on Newegg and never seen any of them actually delivered. So if you see anything on rebate, like a mail-in rebate on Newegg, forget it. You're not going to get that money, in my opinion. But yeah, I don't want there to just be Amazon. Kind of in the same way I don't want Barnes & Noble, which is a bookstore in the United States, to go out of business completely. And I wouldn't want local competition to Walmart's to go out of business. It's just not good. If we are going to go into monopolies where one organization runs everything, then I would prefer it just be the government at that point. Just fully nationalize the grocery stores of the world and of the United States, and just have a government mart that you go and purchase all your food and things from. If you're going to allow monopolies, it might as well be somebody that we could potentially vote out of office. When you compare a CEO to a president, at the very least, you don't have to be... presidents can be voted out, where CEOs really can't. Alright, which one do I want to trade? Win 3 games of any class or Druid or Hunter? Let's get rid of this one. Oh great, win 5 tavern balls, win 3 games of any class. That's not too bad actually, because we'll just be crazy. So what cards do I want if I'm going to play heroes? I want to play warrior or this. So I'm just going to start with shaman and work my way through all of these heroes. Newegg did fix it, so as much as this article is saying that they took a little bit of heat for overcharging, that really is just a business mistake. Speaking of business mistakes, there was, for a very brief time, and I never saw any evidence that they actually delivered, there was a way where you could get half off of all of your purchase, everything in your cart, if you bought flip-flops from ToysRUs.com. Toys R Us right now is going to probably go bankrupt, and it's trying to shut down stores, so mistakes probably will happen more often, and it's not unbelievable that there will be some legitimate good deals. However, this definitely wasn't one of those. And so people were putting in these $10 flip-flop shoes for kids and then buying Xbox One Pro, PS4 Pros and Xbox One X's. Personally, if I was going to do anything, I would purchase Legos, because getting Legos at half off, since the only one company makes official Lego things, is impossible, pretty much. Let's see. There's a game called Roguemance, R-O-G-U-E-M-A-N-C-E. The romance roguelike about fighting blue balls is out now. It looks like RPG Maker style game, but I'm gonna watch the trailer and give it a chance. Let's see, there's... Wow, this seems like 5 different characters on the screen at a time. And then you walk around. It's very a 8-bit pixel art blocky style. And by blocky I mean the height of the characters is lower than it should be, even for an 8-bit pixel art game. Like, the blue balls in this game are just blue slimes. The course of enemies here are money, lovers, stonewalling, manipulation, yelling, and blue balls is blue slimes. And this is out now on Steam for a limited time launch discount for $6.29. This game, while it might be kind of funny to play, it has one review of, and it's positive. Like, while this might be kind of a funny game for 99 cents, there's no way that this is worth $7.
Magic betrays you.
I gotta actually play here.
Serve or die.
Let's see. Like, the one review is somebody that got it for free. Let's go and squelch this guy. Block of ice. Yeah, I'm screwed. I've lost. I don't think there's anything I can do. I think the idea was to turn these guys into block of ices and not summon a bunch of enemies, characters myself. See, here's a guy that has 3 hours on record. He beat it on the second attempt.
Job's done.
He says it's worth the $7. I don't think so. No, no, no. Maybe you've got $7 to flush down the toilet for 3 hours of gameplay, but not me. Yeah, there's just nothing here on this game other than the romance element to make it any different than any other what seems like a turn-based RPG game. I don't see a real rogue element here. Either a actual roguelike game or a roguelite game. Either one, seems to be appropriate. So I'll skip that game. Dead Space is currently free if you go to Origin, which I generally don't point out games that are free on Origin because they come and go and you still have to put up with Origin. But I do like Dead Space. This really is, however, EA just kicking you in the soft spots because they, less than 6 months ago, shut down Visceral Games effectively, and they re-twisted the knife that you're never going to get a Dead Space 4 or another Dead Space game in the series. It's and I don't know particularly why you'd want Dead Space released around Valentine's Day. There is kind of this romance element, but I think EA probably could think of a different game to give away to tie into Valentine's Day, or just not do it. As for my own channel, trying to cover any Valentine's games is not gonna happen. We'll see next year. We'll see if I'm still by this time next year not allowed in the YouTube Partner Program, which is a very good possibility because it's not guaranteed or even very likely I'll have 1,000 subscribers in a year's time. It's been such a struggle to just get 100 subscribers, to just get 200 subscribers. And now, as I get one new subscriber, YouTube typically takes one away. So it's kind of this impossibly unfair system where even if I make big pushes to get subscribers, whether they're going to be good subscribers and actually watch my video or whether they'll just be dead subscribers that never watch another video at all, it seems like YouTube doesn't care about that anymore. Let's see. +4/4 and taunt. Death row. Draw a card. Let's see. PC Gamer has an article, "The Best Engines to Make Your Own Visual Novel." I, again, very much do not agree with encouraging more people to make visual novels. If you can't figure out how to make one, then you're probably not a good enough video game developer to make one. And arguably there aren't anybody, there just isn't anybody that's good enough to make a visual novel. Deal 1 damage if they die, summon a slime. Guess I could do that. But we'll go through this quickly. There's apparently a program called REN_PY, REN_PY. It's free. It probably is based on Python if it has PY in the name.
My eyes are open.
There's one that is called Tyranno Builder that's $15, but the license is free. So the difference there is if you make a game and the license isn't free, then you would have to pay for some kind of extra license to sell your game. Ooh, and they've got example games, so we can take a moment to mention what games have been made with RenPy. Example games are Butterfly Soup, Katawa Soja, Lady Killer in a Bind, Long Live the Queen, Analog, A Hate Story, and Doki Doki Literature Club were made with Rinpai. So Rinpai seems to be the preferred method for people who have a political tale that they want to tell in the form of a romance novel, and people who want to do something really crazy with a visual novel. In the case of Doki Doki Literature Club, I'm specifically pointing out Butterfly Soup and Lady Killer in a Bind, both very political, Western political games. And it is worth pointing out at this moment that Abby Hepburn, in her coverage of 5 visual novels, after she spent a lot of effort trying to make Dream Daddy one of the top 5 games of the year last year, she decided to cover visual novels for Giant Bomb, which has never covered visual novels before. And so she goes through this series, and her last episode, number 5 of the series of games, she literally has covered no Japanese games at all, and completely culturally appropriated the concept of visual novels, because Japan has it on lock when it comes to romance visual novels. They've been doing it for decades. You can't go back to the 80s and say maybe there was some straight to PC romance visual novels out there that make sense. Like Leisure Suit Larry, I guess, is the closest thing that anybody in the West has made as far as a romance visual novel. Meanwhile, there's thousands on Steam, thousands of Japanese ones. Things like Clannad, things based on manga, based on anime, things that are original creations. She didn't touch any of them. She didn't review any of them, didn't play any of them, and yet she's showing off the 5 that she's interested in, which are all Western SJW visual novel games. Which I don't want to get into a rant about it. It's just like, it's just not right. You should not review an entire genre of games and then ignore all the games that you're not interested in, and just appropriate an entire genre of games to pursue a message. I was trying to give her a fair shot, but I mean, she's lost all her credibility with me now. Like, I thought maybe she'd go through the Western games and then she'd start doing the Eastern games. She still might. She might start a whole nother series and cover 2 or 3 of the Eastern games. But right now, it doesn't seem like that's the case. Tyranno Builder, example games are True Lovers Not, One Last Chance, The Ties That Bind, Dear and Mine, Panzer Medals, and Tank Dating Simulator. I haven't heard of any of those games. Maybe Panzer Medals I saw once. Again, though, all of these games are not Eastern games, and they're not good visual novels. The animation looks terrible. They're not something you'd want to play, even if you did want to play visual novel games, which, frankly, most people don't. It's a pretty niche thing that gets talked about more than, I guess, you normally would expect. Let's kill a couple of those. I guess I could have done this. No, that wouldn't have changed anything. The next machine program they have is simply called Visual Novel Maker for $60. The license is free. Example games made there are Allastromeria, Mr. End of the World, Grave Affliction, Your Sentiments. A lot of these games have colons and then a subtitle in them. Like, not really anything that interesting. Like, all the interesting visual novel games are probably with internal engines. It's not that hard to make an internal engine. And so, the examples they're giving are pretty bad. And I'm just scrolling over the rest of this article because there's a lot of text here talking about this. And some pictures. And let me just say that the animation in Lady Killer in a Bind looks pretty awful. Like, every still animation on it looks like it's white outlined and proportions are just slightly off and toning is way off. You also get a lot of visual novel games where it feels like it is a high school kid trying to animate anime girls. They got those awful books like How to Draw Anime Girls, and they're actually following those as if those actually teach you anything. Here's a pro tip: those books on how to draw anything, scams. They don't really teach you what you need to know. You need to take a real art class from a real artist. A life art class to draw real life-like people, and then you'll slowly be able to see the artistic style to transform drawing a lifelike person into transforming that into an anime character. Let's see. Well, this guy might win. This guy isn't from the Kobolds and Catacombs. They're bringing him out. They're bringing back bosses from other things. Yeah, and just to rephrase, don't make a visual novel. There's better things you can do. Literally, if you want anime girls in your game, make a puzzle game. You would do a lot less writing for that. And if you are the writer that wants to write tons of branching dialogue, make a choose your own adventure book, and then you don't have to do the animation. Like, there's just better ways to do it. Stop flooding Steam with terrible visual novels so badly I can't even find the good ones, if there are any good ones, on Steam. Speaking of games, Japanese probably visual novels, Steins Gate Elite has been delayed to 2018 in Japan. Standard Japanese release schedule at this point. It's coming out for the PS4, Switch, and Vita in Japan when it does come out. Its original release date was March 15th. Let's see. This will be our last game and then we'll break up the recording. There's a couple of SSD makers that are bringing out the 3D NAND technology for cheaper, larger SSDs. That would be interesting and nice. Western Digital being one of them, and I think there's another company that I'd never heard of, Micron maybe, being another. Not Samsung though. So yeah, we ended up on a rant again. I guess the Abby Hepburn rant though just goes into the annals of rants of mainstream video game reporting and their misdeeds. Like, I just watched a animated video that very shortly and succinctly explains explained the whole Gamergate situation in about a sentence, and I'm like, wow, it's been a while, but at this point, looking back, you can just kind of put it down as a sentence. Well, I got some pirates, and I'm kind of happy with the pirates. Tragic Master says good luck on the pack. I opened the pack so fast that I imagine I had already opened the pack before he even said good luck. Yep, let's just move on to the next drama, I suppose, with video game news reporting. Alright, well, that's going to be it for this recording. Stay tuned if you're watching live. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want to friend or follow me on basically any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. If you like what I'm doing and want to support me, gift me a game on Steam. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.